Okay, and here we are with Tom. Thank you so much for your time. We want to get to the bottom of all this Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay Packers saga, and nobody better than you. You've been all over it. So, um, are you surprised that we're here at all? I know that it's been kind of a crazy year, dating back to last draft, but does this surprise you at all?
Well, uh, in some ways it does, and in some ways it doesn't. It doesn't surprise me that the degree of grudge on Rodgers' part, or that it's capable of, Aaron Rodgers is capable of that kind of grudge, because that's what he does. That's his personality. He holds grudges for a long time. He never forgave Mike McCarthy for picking Alex Smith ahead of him when McCarthy was the offensive coordinator for the 49ers, and he let him know about it all the time.
Wow.
So, uh, but I am surprised that it's turned into this all or nothing for Rodgers. I figured he was going to cause some, try to get his contract redone, which every player has that right, and you try to get as much as you can do. But I didn't think it would come down to I'm done. I'm just through. And the lengths to which he's gone to do that shows that I don't think he's coming back. I don't think there's a scenario in which he comes back. It's just too deeply entrenched. And to go through a PR blitz by leaking the information on draft day is, I mean, that means you've thought about it. You know this is what you are going to do. You have a plan. And so I really think he just wants out.
Now, I mean, I feel like they blew it last year, not in drafting Jordan Love, but just the way that Rodgers didn't know it was coming, so they blindsided him. You humiliate him that way. But then he goes out, he's motivated, he has an MVP season. If they had have at the end of this year given him a contract extension right after the season, do you think we would have gotten to this right here? Or would he have not even signed something if they gave it to him?
I think so. I agree with you that I think they mishandled some of this. You know, you you can't let a player dictate who you're going to draft, but you can certainly explain it and let your franchise player know what your intention was. And their intention was for Jordan Love to sit for 2 or 3 years, because that's just the type of player he was. He only played a couple of years, and then he played in a spread system, and it was going to take a while. Everybody knew it was going to take a while. So that should have been explained to Rodgers. But I also think there's some other things that tend to change him, or tend to rub him the wrong way. And I don't know if an extension would have done it. If they would have reached out to him right away, maybe. But it's hard to say. I don't know when they finally did reach out to him. Uh, he's been carrying a lot of grudge for a while. So maybe if they had guaranteed him 2 years right out of the bat on in the off season, maybe we wouldn't be here.
Gotcha. Now, what is his relationship with Matt LaFleur like? I know at times he said, that they're last year when he was playing really well, he said, they understood each other better. He understood the offense, and that's why he was playing so well with such great comfort. But then that call there in the playoffs where they didn't, take a shot for the end zone and they went for the field goal. Did that, he's annoyed by that, but is there something deeper there with their relationship? Or is it on pretty good footing?
That's a good question. One of the things that I don't have is a pipeline to Rodgers. There's he picks and chooses who he talks to, and I don't have that pipeline to his camp. So some of the stuff I have to guess, and other things I have to just try to find out through other means. But what I would say is that Rodgers always has a love-hate relationship with his coach. He, loves to team up and be great, with a coach, but he hates some of the calls, some of the things they want to do, believes that he can use his intelligence, and he is really smart, to outsmart another team, that he should have more control. And Matt LaFleur started to take a little bit of that control back last year, and it actually helped. I mean, they started running the ball really well, and then once they started running it, their play action was outstanding. They looked more like the Rams type of offense last year. The first year, I thought they were more of a McCarthy, LaFleur hybrid, and then they moved more towards LaFleur, and I assumed they were going to do that this year as well. But I just, there's always some kind of conflict there. The coach wanting to keep some control and Rodgers wanting to take more control. I don't think it's a bad relationship. I don't think LaFleur is the problem at all. I really don't. I think it's front office that's bothering him.
Now, do you have any kind of a sense on who's calling the shots on how this has been handled? Is it both team president and GM? Is it just GM? Who is Rodgers really mad at here?
Yeah, that's a great question, because the Packers changed their front office structure when they hired Brian Gutekunst. Originally, so for many, many years, they had a GM who was in charge of football operations. He was the bottom line. The president was there, but everything he did was to support the GM. And typically the GM, if he wanted to draft somebody, the president didn't step in, or if there was a problem, Ted Thompson handled almost all of the Brett Favre situation. Murphy stepped in for a little bit, but he kind of screwed it up. And so Thompson and McCarthy handled it. But anyway, getting to Rodgers. So when he hired Gutekunst, originally he offered Gutekunst the job as a full GM, just like Ted Thompson. But at the last minute, he had some other guys that he wanted to get involved, and he decided that Russ Ball, the finance guy, and LaFleur would all be on the same footing, and he would be the top guy. And I think that has created some problems. So Gutekunst is the one who decided to draft Love. I'm sure that's who Rodgers is really upset at. But, Murphy is one of the people who's dealing with him, and it really should just be Gutekunst. I really think that if you have a grudge to people who don't see it, they're the people who got to work it out. It can't be worked out, I don't think, by the president. And I think that's been part of the problem, is there's, needs to be one voice coming from the Packers. And I think sometimes there's not.
How much of this is complicated by the fact that they don't have an owner? Do you think that would change anything, or is it not so much of a factor in this?
It could. I mean, it could. You think about Brady, and the reports were that, I don't know how true, but everything I've read is that he went to Robert Kraft when they picked Garoppolo and told him to trade him, and I don't, if that is true, then I believe it. You're right. They don't have an owner who can step in. Now, Murphy is in charge, and he could tell Gutekunst, you better bring him back. Here's what you should offer. And I have a feeling that he's involved heavily in, okay, we got to bring this guy back. We got this whole Titletown development, going on, where they've invested all kinds of money in building around the stadium, and losing Aaron Rodgers at this point is not going to help us there. And I don't want to be the president who's, been in place when two franchise quarterbacks left the organization. So I do think he has a lot of influence here.
Yeah, it would seem to me that because they're this close, I mean, they made a good run first year with Matt. Then last year, that they really would want to try to hold on to this thing and make sure that this opportunity to win a Super Bowl doesn't pass them by. Because if Rodgers is gone, I mean, maybe Jordan Love could be magical, but he was supposed to, like you said, 2 or 3 years. This would be really, really bad of a kind of failure if they let Rodgers get away and they, never get close to a Super Bowl for some time.
You're absolutely right, because the first part, they did everything they could to, as Brady has said, bring back the band here. I mean, they brought back Aaron Jones. They signed Bakhtiari to the highest contract for a left tackle. They signed Kenny Clark to the highest contract for a nose tackle. They brought back Mercedes Lewis, their tight end, Robert Tanya. They basically brought anybody. The only guy they let go really was Corey Linsley, their center.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because they had some other options and the number was just too high. They're in bad salary cap situation because they keep paying their own guys. It's not free agent mistakes they make, but it's, they want to keep their team together. And so then they've been all off season, they've been restructuring contracts, adding voidable years so they could fit in people onto the roster. So you're right. All they've been doing is building for this season. And then this bomb drops. So, what they have to do if they can't get him back is they've got to get a trade that would, one, continue to build for the future because they have a pretty good team, but give them one more piece and then give them a veteran quarterback who could function, enough that they could still compete for a Super Bowl.
Who or where would that be in your mind? Are there any type of possibilities you've already thought of? I mean, I know crystal ball here, but hypothetically.
Yeah, to me, the most logical place is Denver. So, you've got John Elway may be retired, but I think he still has influence there, and he knows what a franchise quarterback could do for that organization. They got a defensive coach, and they're going to have a pretty good defense, and they got a chance to be pretty good with Rodgers. Now, if I was the Packers, I'd ask for a first-round pick next year. I'd ask for Jerry Jeudy, like their first-round pick last year, so that you have another wide receiver. And then I'd ask for maybe another first-rounder or a second and a third. I think the market was set when Stafford was traded to the LA Rams, 2 first-round picks. So you got to get more than that for him. Then so what do? They take Teddy Bridgewater? Maybe they take Teddy Bridgewater. Can he get them to a Super Bowl? Maybe, maybe if you decide you're going to run the ball a lot and not put him in position to have to really carry your team. Drew Lock, I don't think that'd be any better than Jordan Love.
Right.
So yeah, that would be their options. Maybe they could, if the Bears get rid of Nick Foles, that could be a possibility. I don't know, but yeah, that's, then you could do the Raiders. You could think about that and whether they could get Derek Carr back.
Yeah.
But that doesn't, in some ways, that doesn't help them because of their salary cap situation. It might help them this year. But, they want Jordan Love to be their quarterback eventually. And so the Derek Carr thing would be for 1 year, I guess. Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky, but you think about it in the LaFleur offense with the Rams, they made it to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff.
Right.
San Francisco, same offense, made it to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. So I think they believe that with a middle range quarterback, they could still be successful.
So, I mean, I feel like they got to fix this thing. I don't know if they can, but say that you're the guy, you're Murphy, and you are determined we're not trading this guy, we're going to fix it. How do you fix it and keep Aaron Rodgers there and give yourself a chance to win a Super Bowl?
Well, I think I know what they're going to do, which is offer him 2 or 3 guaranteed years. I mean, we're talking, I don't know how you can do that, but you're talking $105 million, maybe 120 million. He might want 40 a year. So if you're sinking 3 years in, I don't know how you can do that. I mean, your cap is done. If you guarantee 2 years, that's still a lot of money as well. But I would bet that they already have offered 2 years. I think if he's not going to take that, I couldn't go to 3. I would just keep talking and waiting it out. And then if I hit June, middle of June, I'd want to see how Jordan Love is playing in OTAs and minicamp. And if I had any thought that he was going to be any good, then as soon as I saw that, I would trade him. I honestly think they have to trade him after June 1st. They would gain 14.7 million in cap room if they trade him after that time. And then maybe they could get a veteran quarterback that way in a trade or some other way.
Gotcha. Man, it's going to be really interesting to see. It's crazy.
Oh,
Now, real quick, any chance that he decides, yo, I'm retiring, I'm not going to play?
yes. I would think that if they refuse to trade him, he would do that. He kind of thinks that he's going to be the host of Jeopardy. So I haven't seen that for sure, but who knows? Yeah, I think he could. He's got all the money he needs.
Right.
He's got a Super Bowl ring. He's got a great life with movie star fiance. Why not? They could start their life together, and I don't think it'd be a problem. But the one thing that comes into that is this guy is ultra competitive,
Right.
and he has said he wants to play till he's 40, and I think he wants to play beyond that. And I think he can't step away from the competition. I really do. So, ultimately, that's why I think they're going to have to trade him. He's going to hold out and hold out. He's not coming back. And then they're just going to have to say, look, we got to get the most we can for him and move on.
Damn. All right, Tom. Well, I really appreciate the insight. We will be following you in your coverage as we see this unfold. Tell everybody where they can find you.
I am at jsonline.com, packersnews.com. They're all the same. And I'm on Twitter at Tom Silverstein, and we have a podcast, Green 19 podcast, that we do pretty much every week. And then all kinds of other stuff. And then hopefully this is my last franchise quarterback has to extricate himself from the franchise. I guess once every 13 years I have to go through this. So hopefully I'm retired in 13 years.
That's a lot. All right, Tom. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. You've been great.
Hey, no problem, Mike. It was a pleasure.